If people could see Earth from up here, see it without those borders, see it without any differences in race or religion, they would have a completely different perspective. Because when you see it from that angle, you can't think about your home or your country. All you can see is one Earth. Space.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Matt, who said that?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you.
Well, I'm throwing it back at you. I mean, surely you know.
I'm going to have a guess that it's not an actual astronaut, but a commercial astronaut.
Correct.
Nice. Is it Anousheh Ansari?
Oh my God. It's almost like it's written down.
It's Anousheh Ansari.
That's a genius quote, though, isn't it?
Because we've got an astronaut of the week who's a bit like Ansari in the fact that they weren't a pro astronaut.
No.
But very, very exciting nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
Right, we cannot do today's podcast
No.
without mentioning what, Jamie?
Well, without mentioning Apollo 7, Matt, 50 years ago.
Today?
Tomorrow,
today, technically, we record.
But when this poddy comes out,
Yeah.
October the 11th, 50 years ago. Incredible.
2 minutes past 3 in the afternoon, UTC.
1968.
A Saturn 1B, not a Saturn 5, although, did you know that the Apollo 8 Saturn 5 was on a launch pad just in the background of some of the pictures of the launch?
I didn't know that.
So they were getting that ready while this one went up to do its 10-day, 20-hour mission.
What?
And we talked about old Walter M. Schirra.
We did.
Before on podcast 49, although we called him Shearer, I believe.
Yeah.
And we were corrected that it's Schirra.
Well, standard.
Yes, Shearer, Eisel and Cunningham were the three people on Apollo 7. So that was a mission. What a mission.
It was a hell of a mission.
But I'm sure lots and lots of other podcasts and YouTube channels will be covering it.
Yeah, but they're not like us, are they, Matt?
No.
Eh?
So I want to look at another one that happened 10 years ago to the day, was a launch to the International Space Station of TMA-13. And do you know who it was?
I'm going to say Richard Allen Garriott.
Can't believe you know his middle name. Indeed, Richard Allen Garriott. Do you know what? He
Born 4th of July 1961.
Yep.
That Richard.
That Richard Garriott.
Okay.
Yes, Richard Garriott de Gailleux, or sometimes known as Lord British. And
Why was he called
Well,
Lord
we'll
British?
get onto that into a minute.
Oh.
But old Dickie Garriott was
Yeah.
born in Cambridge, the son of American parents, Helen and Owen. And do you know who Owen Garriott was?
No.
He was one of the very first NASA scientist astronauts who flew on Skylab 3 and STS-9 space shuttle.
That's some good DNA.
You think, ooh, I wonder if he's the first offspring of an astronaut to also be an astronaut. But we'll get on to that in a minute.
Now that's a stat.
Yeah, that is a stat, isn't it? But we'll see. We'll see as the story unfolds.
We'll see.
So Garriott wasn't an astronaut, even though his dad was. Do you know what he ended up doing with his life?
Teletype programming. My goodness.
Yeah. So when he was at school, he managed to convince his school to let him do teletype programming, and he, while at school, designed 28 fantasy computer games based on Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons.
I love that.
Proper nerdy stuff.
Do you remember the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
How good was that?
Not only do I remember it, but I've got your box set of Dungeons and Dragons.
What?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird?
You need to give that back.
Yeah, I know. Don't ask.
Oh my God.
I may have binned it. Who knows? That's quite nerdy, isn't it? It's like
It's really
it's
nerdy.
very much like. Tell you who he's a bit like. He's a bit like Wolowitz from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is kind of on that level.
Yeah, like nerdy D&D fan who ends up being an astronaut.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so he's called Lord British because that's one of his characters in his computer games. But he's nicknamed British not because he was born in Britain, but because, which he was, but because when people said hello to him on the University of Oklahoma campus, he would say hello instead of hi, which is, of course, the more American sort of way of saying it. So they thought it was funny to call him British, even though he had a Texan accent, because he went back to America at a very, very young age.
Right.
Yeah. Him and his family, close family, including his father, set up Origin Systems to publish his game Ultima, which went on to become absolutely massive. And EA Games.
Wow, that is
bought Origin
pretty huge
for $30 million in 1992.
Snippet. And
Garriott is the person that coined the phrase massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
Just rolls off the tongue.
An MMORPG.
Oh, that's one of my favourite PGs.
Well, he invented it. He invented the whole phrase. And he was working on a Harry Potter version when EA cancelled it. So he thought, right, I'm leaving. So he left, and he used the money that he'd made to buy a seat via Space Adventures. Ooh. So Space Adventures, they're quite an interesting company. They're the first space tourism company, founded by Eric C. Anderson. And Garrett's now the vice chairman, by the way, of the board, to become the first private citizen to fly to space. But do you know what happened?
What happened, Matt?
The dot-com bubble.
Don't say that.
Yeah,
it's a different website altogether.
The dot-com bubble burst, right?
It's even better.
The dot-com bubble burst.
Yeah.
And he was forced to sell his seat to a guy called Dennis Tito.
Tito, I like his name.
So, and then he returned to gaming to make enough money so he could put down a deposit for his actual flight. But he'd missed being the first commercial space person, right?
Yeah.
But then they discovered he had a hemangioma or hemangioma on his liver. Now, hemangiomas are quite common. A baby's getting them like little strawberry birthmarks, but he had one on his liver, which, if there was a depressurization event, which is actually quite likely in a Soyuz, well, not quite likely, but it's certainly a scenario.
Yeah.
He would suffer from internal bleeding and bleed to death. So he had to make a choice, and so he took life-threatening surgery so he didn't lose his deposit. And after paying $30 million, he was to go into space carrying a 16-inch scar from said surgery.
I love this guy.
He was the second American space tourist. He was the second-generation astronaut. Second to Sergei Volkov.
Oh, Sergei, getting in there first.
And he was the second person to wear the Union flag. And the first was...
Helen Sharman, of course.
Correct. So he was the second Brit in space. And the Metro, the Metro that that you get on the tube here, claimed that it was the first newspaper in space as they were part of an outreach programme to British school children.
Really?
So, yes, he took the Metro up with him. He actually flew back on a Soyuz TMA-12 with Sergei Volkov, the man who'd beaten him to be the first second-generation astronaut.
Do you reckon the atmosphere was a little frosty?
Oh, so
I think he's
how
just
close must
be.
it? So he came pretty close. So Volkov, Volkov is the first second-generation astronaut. I don't know much about Volkov, so we'll have to revisit him on another Astronaut of the Week.
Well, he sounds pretty tenacious, Mr. Garriott.
Well, no, there's some really cool facts about Richard Garriott, other than that he invented massive multiplayer online games.
Yeah.
He also became the first person to oversee a wedding in zero gravity.
Okay.
So he is the official on G-Force One, operated by Zero Gravity Corporation.
Oh, so someone got married on a vomit comet.
Yeah.
And he was
the priest.
Okay, because you can get that stuff online, can't you?
Yeah, he basically.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
In 2010, he released a documentary called Man on a Mission, Richard Garriott's Road to the Stars, which I have not seen.
We need to check that out.
Tracy Hickman wrote a screenplay for Richard Garriott, and so on board the ISS, he filmed the first science fiction film shot in space called Apogee of Fear.
I like that.
So somewhere there is a film that Garriott filmed in space called Apogee of Fear. Again, I haven't seen it, so we'll just have to...
Wasn't that your first EP as well?
Yeah, well, it was the second song on the...
B-side.
B-side of from my first single.
This one's Apogee of Fear. You must be Surbiton.
It's where the riff comes from.
Yeah.
Do, Apogee of Fear. Oh, yeah, baby space. So, strange facts about Richard
Here we go.
Garriott. His high school teacher was June Scobie Rogers, who was wife of Challenger shuttle commander Dick Scobie, who piloted the doomed Challenger STS-51L.
Oh, really?
I think he then went on to help her with various charities.
Okay.
Garriott bought the Luna 21 lander and the Lunokhod 2 rover, which are both still on the lunar surface, right? Okay. And he bought those for $68,500.
Not bad.
Which is an absolute bargain.
Not
but
bad
get
at
this. So Garriott notes that while the UN treaties ban governmental ownership of property off Earth, corporations and private citizens retain those rights.
Oh.
So he thinks that Lunokhod 2, which is still working, its mirrors are used to bounce back lasers so you can measure accurately how far the moon is away from the Earth, which is pretty cool, right? So Garriott claims property rights to the territory surveyed by Lunokhod 2. And it actually might be the first valid claim for private ownership of extraterrestrial territory.
That is insane. I love that.
And just so you know how big an area Lunokhod has covered, it held the distance record until Opportunity rover beat it in 2014. The same Opportunity that now may be lifeless on the Mars.
Oh, shiver my timbers.
Richard Garriott was also a cornerman for one of your favourite sports, professional boxing.
What?
Yeah.
And friend Jesus.
Jesus Chavez, yes, Jesus Chavez, in his first title defence against Eric Morales, which I actually remember that. I actually remember that fight, bizarrely. He's also an avid magician, which of course he is because he's an absolute nerd, which actually makes him like Wolowitz off the Big Bang Theory.
Exactly.
Still. So in fact, it's almost exactly the same. Garriott received an honorary doctorate from Queen Mary University in London in 2011.
Tick.
But here's a really cool one. Richard's wife is Laetitia Garriott de Caeux.
What a name.
Yes. She grew up in France and Hong Kong, and she worked in London for a while. And actually has completed some of the NASA training, including... not NASA training, the cosmonaut training.
Yeah.
Including completing the natural buoyancy cosmonaut training.
Oh, Matt, do you remember when we saw the natural buoyancy pool?
Yeah, in Cologne. She was the president and COO, Chief Operating Officer, of Escape Dynamics, which is a really, was actually, it's shut down now because they didn't quite get enough funding, but it's a really interesting concept about getting a space plane into space. Basically, they got round the specific impulse problem.
Yeah.
Go back to the space word of the week a few weeks ago. Basically, if you've got a high enough specific impulse at launch, you should be able to do single stage to orbit. But most fuels just don't have that specific impulse with the rocket engine, or the tanks are too large to contain it, so it kind of scuppers you. But this was firing microwaves at the space rocket to sort of give it that extra bit of energy, so the specific impulse went up, which meant that you could actually have a single stage to orbit space plane.
That sounds like one of those experiments you'd do at school, firing microwaves.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know what you're talking about there.
Sorry, I got the giggles.
Yes, but I don't even know what you're talking about. The kind of experiment you would do.
I'm really tired.
Firing microwaves.
I meant proper microwaves, as in cooking microwave.
Like
Matt.
you might. I think as a rock star, you might chuck a microwave out of a hotel window.
I was being very silly.
You were being silly. You are a shocker.
This guy's amazing, though, isn't he?
I know. How cool is that? Dickie Garriott.
Maybe we should get him on.
We should try and get him on.
Get him on.
We should. Do you know what the space word of the week is, Jamie, before we go on to
Hell
the news?
yeah, I do.
Go on then.
It's only Vernier.
Yeah, it is Vernier. How did you know that?
Well, because I know it, Matt, because, obviously a Vernier thruster is a rocket engine used on a spacecraft for fine adjustments to the attitude, not altitude.
No,
attitude.
You've got a bad attitude.
You've got a bad attitude or velocity of a spacecraft.
Maybe if I attach vernier motors to you, it would adjust your bad attitude.
Good luck with that.
Okay. So yeah, do you know it gets its name from? It's quite a cute little name, this. So Vernier was Pierre Vernier was a tool maker in some ways, a scientist. They're multi-talented kind of people like they were back then. In 1631, he came up with a way of kind of, and you've seen it. When you've got calipers,
yeah,
and you put them together, and you've got like a major scale which shows you like the sort of gross measurement, say like 2 centimeters. Then you've got a smaller scale, and you line up the lines, and it tells you how many millimeters it is exactly. And that's called a vernier scale. And you see it on quite a few measuring tools. And it's really, really useful. It's on my telescope, for example. There's a little vernier scale on my telescope. And it's very, very useful. So vernier scale means the second more precise scale. So a vernier engine is obviously used for is a secondary engine that's more precise. So
Got it.
That's where it gets its name from. How cool is that?
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah. May simply be a smaller thruster complementing the main propulsion system. So that's just like the Soyuz that's still taking off to this day. Each booster has got 2 and the core has got 4. So there's 12 little vernier motors on the bottom of the Soyuz. And of course they help keep the Soyuz going in the right direction.
Yes.
Help with the attitude.
That's it.
Stop the terrible Russian attitude of that Soyuz.
Stop the attitude.
Stop the attitude. They may actually be part of a larger attitude control system. So the Atlas and the Delta, early Deltas, had vernier engines that kind of helped with things like making them roll and do those kind of things. But also may be part of a reaction control system. So the Space Shuttle had vernier engines, the VRCS, the Vernier Reaction Control System. And that was often used if the Space Shuttle was docked to the International Space Station.
Yeah.
If you burnt those vernier engines for, say, 30 minutes, you could raise the ISS orbit by about 10 miles.
Not bad.
Not bad, eh? They've become less and less used these days.
Bit old-fashioned now.
Bit old-fashioned, and you can use gimbals and sort of better rocket technologies come out. So, obviously, they're still popular with the Russians because the Russians are still using basically everything that they came up with in the 60s and not much else. But the vernier was almost called the Nonius.
What?
Yeah, because Nonius, Pedro Nunes, invented a very similar measurement thing on a circular instrument called the astrolabe or the astrolabe. That was kind of absorbed into the whole vernier system. But it was called the Nonius scale right up until the 18th century. So they could have been easily have called Nonius thrusters instead of vernier thrusters.
I prefer vernier.
Definitely.
Just saying. Let's have some space news, Matt. NASA confirms delays, Matt, to the first crewed launches from US soil since 2011.
Oh no, this is deeply depressing.
Yeah, it is. The widely expected delay was announced in a statement from NASA. So SpaceX's first uncrewed test flight of its Crew Dragon spacecraft will be delayed from December 2018 to January 2019. Not too long.
That's not too bad, is it? And then we'll get...
It's literally a month, Matt.
Yeah. Then there's going to be a crew... Yeah, but it's been massively delayed. This was supposed to be happening like 2 or 3 years ago. But the crewed flight is going to be in June 2019. So, yes, pushed back from April. Even worse for Boeing, whose unmanned test flight is going to be March 2019. And then they're not even going to fly crew until August 2019.
Come on, Boeing. Shake a leg.
So the phrase is, Boeing are ahead on paperwork, SpaceX are ahead on hardware.
Yeah.
That's the phrase.
They need to get together, don't they?
Mascot lasted 1 hour longer than planned. So it jumped from 3 locations, took lots of different measurements. I think it was supposed to last 12 hours, but lasted 13 hours. So it used its camera, infrared spectrometer, a magnometer, or a magtometer, or a magnetometer.
We'll take one of them.
Yeah. And a radiometer to measure stuff going on on the surface of Ryugu.
Huge.
And that is actually quite huge.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting to see how many science papers are written from that little jaunt.
Agreed.
What's going on with arrivals and returns from the International Space Station?
Well, Matt, NASA's astronauts Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold.
Ricky!
And cosmonaut Oleg Artemyev of the Russian space agency Roscosmos landed at 7:44 a.m. Or 5:44, Matt, p.m., as I know that you like to run by Kazakhstan time.
Exactly.
Southeast of the remote town of Zegstagan in Kazakhstan. Space station crew returns to Earth.
So exomoon. Some very, very cool researchers have used NASA's Hubble Space Telescope.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a follow-up from a year ago. So a year ago, Kepler Space Telescope had got a bit of data that seemed to suggest there may be an exomoon that's orbiting a planet 3 times bigger than Jupiter, or 3 times as massive than Jupiter.
That's big, because
big.
Jupiter's big.
Jupiter's big. So a Jovian planet, 3 times the mass as Jupiter, has a moon the size of Uranus, to avoid us laughing.
Good.
And that moon has been detected by Kepler. They've used NASA's Hubble Space Telescope to follow up, and it really looks like there is a moon that's circling only 8,000 light years away in the Cygnus constellation. It's going to require some more follow-up Hubble observations, but here's the bad news this week. This is...
you had to build me up to knock me down, didn't you?
No, but it's not as bad as Twitter would have you believe.
Oh, it's always not as bad.
Yeah, Hubble has gone into safe mode.
Oh.
Oosh. Which is never good, and it's because one of its gyros have failed. So it's actually running on not so many gyros. It needs gyros to be able to point really, really accurately at a star and keep it level and still while it takes very, very long exposures. It's not a surprise that gyro went, because it's one of the older ones that's been exhibiting end-of-life behaviour for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
NASA are going to begin operating the telescope on a single gyroscope with another working gyroscope they're going to hold in reserve. So one of the gyroscopes, they're going to stop using it so that Hubble's just on the one gyroscope, and keep the other one so when that one fails, that one fires up. But there's also a more modern type of gyroscope that started failing, that they switched off a long time ago, and they might try and get that one working again. So if they can get that
stuff,
one,
isn't it? Because it's so far away.
Well, that's it.
What can you do? You can't just say, "Bro, bring it into the garage."
And remember, once James Webb flies, all the money will have to go into James Webb. So it's very, very unlikely that Hubble will ever be rescued.
Will we see James Webb telescope in space, Matt, soon?
Well, hope so. 2021. Let's just hope.
Okay.
Well, it has to. It has to go now. We've spent like billions and 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 billions on it.
Okay.
So,
quiet time.
So, here's a really cool thing about this James Webb telescope is that we'll see many more of those moons orbiting, many more exomoons with James Webb.
Matt,
that's no moon.
That's no moon. How did you know I was going to say that?
Because it was too. Because you're too.
I'm
reading you like a book.
Too bloody obvious.
So the only thing about James Webb, Jamie, is it won't take such pretty pictures.
Why?
No, because it doesn't really work in optical. So it's not going to be as good. This is the coolest news of the week. Well, sort of.
Coolest news
Could
of
be,
the week.
Potentially coolest news of the week. So Richard Branson says that Virgin Galactic will be in space in the next few weeks.
Weeks?
Not months. Weeks. Mind you, he could mean 52 weeks, couldn't he?
So Branson himself said he's going in months, but they will be in weeks.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We've heard it before, but let's see.
How cool that Richard Branson going into space. That is, you've got to admit, that is really cool. And that reminds me of when I was a kid, when Richard Branson used to do all the balloon things across the Atlantic and stuff, like daring stuff with Pierre Lindstrom and people like that.
Yeah, fair play to him for what he's doing in that realm.
Yeah, so Virgin Galactic, that's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It's really exciting.
So, Jamie, what I want to know is what happened in the IAC 2018, the International Astronautical Congress.
Well, hey, Matt, whilst I could tell you, I think we should leave it up to one of our favourite people in the world ever.
Oh, I tell you, yeah, we could.
Our California girl.
Shall we Skype Harriet?
Harriet Brettle.
Let's Skype the Harriet. Good day.
Roll it. Okay, listeners, we are joined by our regular Californian but English, Matt, correspondent.
It's a bit like Richard Garriott.
Yeah. Well, it's Harriet Brettle. Harriet, thank you for joining us again.
Oh, it's great to be here, guys.
Now, we know you've got a bit of a cold. How are you over there, despite that?
I'm fine. I think all the travelling's caught up with me, and now my body's like, just stay in one place for 1 week, please.
I know. Yeah, this is the thing. It's kind of annoyed at you.
It must be hard to recover from a cold in California, though.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? You don't really expect to have a cold out here, but I'm drinking lots of tea, so it's all good.
Actual tea, or what Americans call tea, which is some abomination.
Twining's Earl Grey. It's been shipped over from England. I've got like 1,000 tea bags here. It's ridiculous.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. Now, Harriet, we want to talk to you about the IAC 2018.
Oh, yes. What a week. It was wonderful. Just wonderful.
How does it all start? So when you arrived in Bremen...
Yeah.
What happened?
So I actually went to Bremen a few days early because I was attending the Space Generation Congress. So this is a 3-day workshop that the Space Generation Advisory Council puts on right before IAC. So for those of you who are listeners who haven't heard of SGAC before, we're a global organization with 13,000 members plus all around the world in over 150 countries. And essentially, we support students and young professionals between the ages of 18 and 35 connect to the wider space industry. So we organize these events all around the world, and the big kind of flagship event that we put on is the Space Generation Congress. So it's kind of like a mini IAC. We had about 150 students and young professionals come together. We had speakers from all different walks of the space world, ESA, NASA, Lockheed Martin, a whole host of others. And we also had a number of different workshop themes. So I was in the Space Commercialization Working Group, which was sponsored by the German Space Agency, DLR. So throughout the course of those 3 days, we had a subgroup of about 15 of us who were really narrowing down on some of the key issues and challenges associated with commercializing the space industry, what that's going to look like going forward, and what some of the opportunities to make viable space businesses in the future might look like. So that was the first kind of few days, which was a lot of fun.
So before the IAC even started, you were absolutely knackered from the SGC.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the highlights of the Space Generation Congress is we have an intercultural night, which is, I think it's the first night of the event actually, where basically because all of the delegates come from all around the world, each group of people from each country does like a little skit presentation in the evening to everyone else. So we had just this fantastic evening of Austrians doing like their traditional Austrian dance. We had the Americans all in their baseball jerseys doing like an American quiz. The British didn't plan very well. We went for like a, as you might expect, we were for a James Bond theme. So we were all dressed up really suave, but we bought some royal family masks at the airport.
Oh, wow.
And it was great fun. So we just that was our showcase of.
I think we should get some photos from you to put them on the blog.
Yeah. I've got photos.
The more embarrassing, the better, please.
Absolutely. So it was a really fantastic. Just an example of you put 150 space enthusiasts in one room for 3 days, and it was so inspiring to see the kind of discussions that came out of those 3 days and the ideas and the policy recommendations. SGAC is actually has permanent observer status with the UN's Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. So all of the findings from our workshops will be fed into a presentation that will be sent to the UN later this year, which is pretty cool.
Did you know that? Yeah, the Outer Space Treaty is 50 years old today.
Oh, is it today?
Yeah. Oh, no, 51. It's 51. Oh, come on. It's 51. Yeah. It's 51 today. That's not bad, though, is it?
That's not bad, no.
Was there any particular topic of conversation that you really remember and go, wow, that's absolutely amazing? Was there one that really stood out?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. So maybe something that stood out that was really interesting was traditionally we have a set number of assigned working groups, but this year we had an extra one which was called Bridging the Space Divide. And essentially the purpose of that was the group was discussing how do you collaborate across borders? Because at the end of the day, space is an inherently global endeavor, but we still deal with these kind of restrictions of national boundaries, national security, and all those kind of challenges. And it was really kind of inspiring and encouraging to see how well thought through the working group presented their ideas at the end of the workshop, and kind of encouraging to see, this next generation of space leaders being incredibly committed to global cooperation in the future.
It's definitely the one thing that you really get from the space community is that international collaboration. I've not been to one single event where your nationhood gets in the way in a way. Like, it's a place where the Russians and the Americans and the Germans and everyone else all get on.
That's so true. Yeah. And Harriet, who would you say is, apart from the British and the Americans, which country would you say is kind of shining a light on just being innovative in this industry?
That's a really good question. So I'm going to name two countries that have really kind of put their foot forward over the last few years. The first is Luxembourg. So I don't know if you've heard in the last few years, Luxembourg has really been strengthening out its legislation around asteroid mining and rights on...
This is Jamie's favourite, the asteroid mining.
I love it.
Yeah, Luxembourg are really queuing up for that, aren't they?
They are, and they're pumping a huge amount of money into investing in companies that want to drive that technology forward, which is pretty exciting. So they're really paving the way, not just in terms of funding, but also thinking about what the legislation is that a company or country will need in order to be able to actually utilize resources in space, which is incredibly important.
Well, the Outer Space Treaty slightly gets in the way, doesn't it? Aren't they pushing for some kind of amendment of it?
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly what it says, but from my understanding of the way that it's been interpreted, it's something to do with you can't own anything that is in space, but you can use the resources. So let's say you land on an asteroid. You don't have the right to that asteroid. You can't claim that it is yours, but you can mine it for water or platinum or whatever it is that you want to bring back from that. So you can use the resources, but you can't claim ownership of the property, so to speak.
which isn't great, is it? If you're spending billions to land on an asteroid for someone else to land on the other side, start mining it away. So Luxembourg, agreed. Yeah. That's a trailblazer. Who else?
Yeah, Japan. Yes. So Japan, the Japanese government recently announced I think it's a $1 billion space fund or something, like huge investment into the space industry. And we're really seeing it now. There's a number of really exciting space companies that are cropping up or have been, are kind of going strong, very, very well funded coming out of Japan. One is iSpace, which is they're planning to launch a commercial lunar lander on the surface of the moon within the next few years.
Anyone who watched our 100th podcast will have seen a little picture that looks very, very cool. It's based on Apollo technology, apparently.
Yeah, it's really interesting. They've got some commercial partners as well. I'm going to get the car company wrong, but so I won't name one in the risk of giving out the wrong one. But they're teaming up with a car company which is helping them, with the technology design of the wheels. They're partnering up with a lot of different, Japanese funding to make it happen. So that's really exciting. And then another exciting company out of Japan, which again is very, very well funded right now, is Astroscale. So Astroscale is I guess you could say startup, but they're trying to solve the problem of debris in space rubbish. Mm-hmm. And so what their plan is to create a kind of plate that you can attach to satellites before they launch. And so once the satellite is in orbit and you want to bring it back down, you have a device that you can then launch, which will attach to that plate on the satellite and drag it back in to get broken up in the Earth's atmosphere. So that's a really cool idea of, solving one of those big problems that the space industry is really going to have to solve when we think about the number of satellites that we're putting up.
That means that was awesome in Japanese, guys.
Oh, I thought that was like a little kid interrupting us.
No, I just hopped onto Google Translate. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Excellent.
Japanese have been really, really great recently. Presumably you've been following Hayabusa 2.
Oh my goodness, isn't it extraordinary?
Amazing. Yeah, so cool. It's just been brilliant.
Incredible. Yeah, absolutely.
You've only gone and double whammied it. So now you've got now you start at the IAC. How does that start? Does that start with a big ceremony and everything?
You know what? It did start with a giant ceremony, and it was incredible. So they had the Bremen Philharmonic Orchestra opened up with this incredible concerto. So it was a giant auditorium, doesn't make it sound big enough, this huge kind of room where they kind of filled it with this incredible music. They had this wonderfully, I don't know, the host for the opening ceremony was this incredibly animated and energetic American woman. She was absolutely fantastic. And they had a number of, the kind of formal introductions by dignitaries at the event, the vice president of the IAF, the leader of the organizing committee that is hosting the event, the chairwoman of the German Space Agency, DLR, all these kind of formal things. And then they finished up. So the theme of the IAC this year was involving everyone, which was really nice kind of touch. And they kind of highlighted the fact that IAC has brought together people from a huge host of countries, coming into this one event. And they really emphasized this kind of international, but also involving literally everyone, the public. There was a public day where anyone from Bremen and beyond could come into the exhibit hall and see what was going on, which was really nice. So there was a really kind of positive theme running through the event. And then they finished with another piece that the orchestra, I think, was premiering. And it included like little nods to 2001 Space Odyssey, which was really cool. So they started off with the classic, do, 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 do.
Strauss.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then they had some performers kind of choreographed to the music as well, which was great. So that kind of kicked it off. It was kind of weird to see that concert at 9 a.m. in the morning, because you're in this room and then it's like this evening extravaganza, and then you go outside and it's 10:30 in the morning and you need a cup of coffee and hit the rest of the day. But it was fantastic.
A strange time. That's incredible, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Germans do orchestral music rather well as well.
They did it very, very well. It was wonderful.
Yeah, got a bit of heritage there.
Yeah.
What was the first talk that you went to?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure. The problem was I was wearing a number of different hats during this IAC. So one, I was going, just as a space enthusiast, wanting to get as much out of it as I personally could. Two, I lead strategic partnerships for the Space Generation Advisory Council, the organization that put on the 3-day event before IAC. So I spent a lot of time meeting with companies and potential partners and sponsors to help support the work that we do throughout the year. So that took up a lot of time. But it was really, really great, to see the level of support that organizations across the space industry have for students and young professionals. So that was great. And then also I had a couple of talks myself. So you know what? I think actually the first talk I went to was me talking about the Planetary Society in London.
Oh, wow.
Ah, nice.
Oh, actually, do you know what? I saw a picture of that and I could see a picture of myself on the banner. So I actually I did make it to the IAC.
There you go.
Jamie didn't know.
You and your ego.
But yeah, I think you'd have to be quite eagle-eyed to have spotted it. Never mind.
Yeah.
And how were the reactions from your talks?
It was really encouraging, actually. So the first talk I did was basically, lessons learned from setting up an outreach program in London with the Planetary Society. As you know, we organised Space Up in 2017. Mm-hmm. The group's still going strong. So it was really nice to kind of showcase some of the work we did. Bill Nye was in the audience as well, so it was really nice for him to see a little bit of what we'd done in London. So yeah, it was really good.
In fact, presumably you got to meet Bill Nye. He can't have let his London representative go without a little chat.
No, yeah, we it was funny because I've been volunteering for the Planetary Society for 2 years now, and this is actually the first time that we met. But it was really nice to cross paths and speak to a couple of other people at Planetary Society HQ and check in about all the things that they're doing. So they're a really fantastic organisation, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Well, we had Kate down for our show, didn't we, Matt? Talking about Lunaris.
Oh, yes, because she was on the analog mission,
That's
wasn't
right.
she?
Yeah.
So that was great. I mean, because you weren't around, so, you know.
So, yeah, you abandoned us.
I know.
Had too many other important things to do, like the IAC.
/ we were too scared to call you on Skype for technical difficulties.
Yeah, actually, we should say that you did actually volunteer, that you would come on. So
next time when you guys do your 200th episodes live, then I'll be there in one form or another.
Terrifying thought.
That's going to be, I think, September 2020. So we may.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
good maths, Matt.
Thanks. Well, it's about 100 weeks, isn't it? Over the few days, what was your absolute favouriteest talk?
So you know what? It probably wasn't necessarily the formal talks themselves. I think it was more the personal interactions that you get, because one of the things I think is fantastic about the space industry, I'm not sure if this is true of other industries as well, but it's certainly true of space, is that everyone is incredibly personable and incredibly warm, open, and friendly. So I got to sit in on a lunchtime session with Jim Bridenstine, the administrator for NASA.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lunchtime meeting with a bunch of ESA students with Jan Warner, who's the Director General of the European Space Agency. I got to spend time speaking with people from Blue Origin and Lockheed Martin and a whole host of people from different kind of small space companies out of the US, the UK, Europe, all across the world. I'm really just getting a sense of what everyone is doing and kind of walking around the exhibit hall, finding things that were interesting that I'd never heard about. I think, honestly, that was more of a highlight for me.
Wow, what were the Blue Origin lot like?
Oh, they're great fun. Yeah, absolutely. So they don't have a stand at the exhibit hall, but they're big supporters of the Space Generation Advisory Council. So one of the Blue Origin employees sits on our board. One is a previous executive director of SGAC. So we have a kind of a great relationship with those guys.
And did you presume were any of the British launch people there, like Orbex or the Spaceport Cornwall or any of those?
Yeah, so there was a UK pavilion, which was lovely.
Ooh, nice.
So there were a nice few little British flags around, and as soon as I saw them, I made a beeline to, my home country. And yeah, it was fantastic. So I think that was organised by the BIS, so kudos to them. So there was the UK Space Agency was there, Clyde Space, Skyrora was there, which is one of the UK launch future providers. I think that's fair to say. So yeah, no, it was really fantastic to see a kind of breadth of different space companies coming out of the UK, and also speaking to a lot of different European companies who are bringing their, and actually not just European, international as well, who are starting to bring offices to the UK, particularly Harwell, to make the most of the opportunities that are coming out of the UK right now, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it has to be said, it is a very exciting time for commercial space, but also I actually genuinely think that the UK have actually really picked up on it. It actually genuinely seems like there is actual government interest in
tangible,
it,
isn't it?
Which has not really happened before, bizarrely.
No, absolutely. And that there seems to be a really there's a real commitment from the UK government to make space a success story, particularly in light of Brexit, but also, just showcasing that this really can be a pillar of the UK economy, given the potential for the launch market, the small satellite market, just general space industry going forward, it's only going to grow. And so there's a huge investment in terms of facilities and funding and infrastructure to really make that a reality in more than just words, which is really encouraging.
Yeah, I suppose in that respect, we've been a little bit like Luxembourg, haven't we, where we've been putting through quite a lot of legislation as well to try and make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And if you think about, the UK spaceports, I was speaking to someone from the UK Space Agency, and they were saying, that regulation can really act as an enabler in the sense that if you're looking at where you want to launch your rockets from, you don't want to go to a country that's got no legislation, because they could turn around in a few years and change the game and put you out of business. You really want to go to a country that has got a kind of well thought through plan and can kind of support your business going forward. And I think that's what the UK is trying to do with the spaceport legislation and initial funding, is to kind of open up that platform to commercial companies and see where it can go from there, which is really exciting.
That is really incredible. God, I really wish I was there. That sounds like such a great event.
So close us off then, Harriet. How did it all wrap up?
Well, you know what? The last day was probably a little bit of an anticlimax, because we've been going strong for about 10 days by that point.
Oh, my God.
And honestly, I really just wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
So the last day, what did I do? I think I had a couple of meetings in the morning, did a last whiz around the exhibit hall. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but with IAC, there's a giant exhibit hall where all the big companies and all the small companies as well have little stands where you can go and speak to their representatives about what they're doing. They have drinks receptions start from about 3 p.m. every day. So there's this whole kind of, scurry of people going from one drinks reception to the other. And so I spent the last day doing a final round, seeing if there were any final pens or space pins that I could pick up to bring back. Yeah, I'm an avid collector of space pins. I got some really good ones this time. I was very happy.
That's where ours went.
Yeah, we should actually do an interplanetary podcast pin.
Oh my God, you should. That would be awesome, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm on it.
Matt, we already have enough trouble getting friends without doing a pin. Do you think this is wise?
Bring you friends.
You reckon?
Yeah,
you reckon?
If it brings us friends like Harriet, then I'm in.
You old smoothie.
Yeah, I think you're basically, Jamie, you're thinking of the old people.
I love it. So, Harriet, what's exciting coming up for you in the next few months?
Oh, man. So I landed back in California two days ago now, and immediately got a cold, which I think was my body saying, slow down.
Enough.
So for the next few weeks, I'm trying to getting back into my research. I had my qualifying exam right before I left for IAC, which I thankfully passed. So now I've actually got to go and do the work. Thank you. So now it's following up with the research. I've got a conference in Knoxville, Tennessee at the end of October.
Nice. So
that's the Division for Planetary Science. So I'm presenting a poster on the work that I've been doing observations of Europa's atmosphere. So I've got to whip that into shape in the next few weeks and then go over there and present it.
Amazing.
Very exciting.
Well, that is all lovely stuff. Well, we should do this again in a few months' time.
Yes, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, keep us posted.
Will do.
Thanks very much.
Well, it's a pleasure to chat with you guys as always. And you know what? The IAC is going to be in Washington, D.C. next year, so start saving up because that's going to be...
we have to go because, it would be genius. We're going to have to look at that one. We're going to have to look at that one, Jamie.
Okay, Harriet, I'm going to leave you with this.
Yeah.
おかげでハリエット、あなたが支配する。
What does that mean, Jamie?
That says, thanks, Harriet. You rule. So there we go.
Yeah, I can't help feeling that Google Translate's not going to...
I'm sure we'll get someone correcting us.
It probably
Wonder
means
what it actually said.
Harriet, you're a ruler or something.
Yeah, you can measure things or something.
I will find out from my lovely Japanese colleagues if that was actually the case. But Harriet, thank you so much for your time. Hope you get better. Get some rest. Get some liquids. Matt, any tips on cold?
My tips on a cold is drink lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of water, but not so much that you get rid of all your electrolytes. So just don't listen to me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not a doctor. You know how to get rid of a cold.
I'll just man up. It'll be fine.
To be fair, when Jamie and I walked round Estec, that was like one day I was so knackered. To do it
Yeah.
for 10 days is insane.
Yeah. It really is a marathon, not a sprint. You know, you really do have to plan out the week. Otherwise, you just crash very early on.
Well, you look after yourself. Get well soon, and
Thanks, guys.
we'll catch up on the flip side.
Yeah,
Super soon.
Sounds awesome. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Love speaking to Harriet, Jamie.
She's so great, isn't she?
She's the bestest of the best.
Cheers, Harriet. Please, guys, give her a follow on Twitter.
Do you want to hear my space fact?
Go on.
I absolutely love this story, Jamie. I didn't know anything about it.
If I don't love it, I'm leaving.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
There's a supernova called the Refsdal.
You have my interest.
Yes, which is sometimes known as the Groundhog Day supernova.
It feels like you've told me this fact before.
Good. Well, I have in an alternate universe.
Ooh.
Or maybe I have in actual fact, really weirdly, there may be a galaxy with a powerful enough telescope that can see us having this conversation several times.
Ooh.
And I'll explain.
Okay, carry on.
Supernova Refsdal is the first detected multiply lensed supernova. So it's visible within the field of the galaxy cluster Max J1149 plus 2223, and was given its nickname in honour of the Norwegian astrophysicist Sjur Refsdal, who in 1964 first proposed using time-delayed images from lens supernova to study the expansion of the universe.
Wow.
So these observations were made using the Hubble Space Telescope, which is why I suddenly found it. So let me tell you the story.
Here we go.
9 billion years ago, Jamie.
Yeah.
So that's about as far away as we can possibly see.
Yeah.
A star blew up.
It did.
And it was picked up by the Hubble Space Telescope. But get this, gravity from the intermediary galaxies, so there's galaxies, massive galaxies in between us and that supernova, and they've bent the light in such a way that there's multiple images of it. So Einstein predicted this would happen, and there's one type of bending, because often you get like a smearing, so it doesn't,
right.
So it's like smeared image. But there is one type called the Einstein cross, and that's exactly what's happened here. So this Einstein cross means that you can see this supernova in 4 different places. So the original observation from Hubble was this supernova happening in 4 different positions. But because of the way that the light is bent, some of them take longer to get to us than others.
Right.
So you can see the supernova happening at different times. So it's like a sort of time capsule version of it. Patrick Kelly from the University of California was the person that discovered it. And he predicted that you would see more versions of this supernova later on.
What?
And you know what? They did. So
how many are we talking here?
So after the 4 images had faded away, about a year later, the supernova Refsdal reappeared somewhere between mid-November 2015 and December the 11th.
Right.
The reason why they don't know roughly is because the way that Hubble's actually taking pictures. As predicted, you've got another picture of this supernova. And using that time delay, they've been able to infer the value of the Hubble constant. In other words, how quickly the universe is expanding. And so they've actually used what Refsdal predicted you could use to get this Hubble constant.
That's genius.
Yeah, and but what's even weirder than that is because the expansion of the universe is so, it's going so fast at that point, and that galaxy is going away from us at an incredible rate now. So the clock on that particular galaxy is obviously massively dilated. So they're running much slower than our clock relative to us. This
Correct.
is Einstein's relativity. A 2-month point of view on the supernova last 6 months on Earth.
Ooh.
So we're not only are we seeing like it in different times, but we're seeing it stretched out in time as well. The whole event stretched out in time. I love the quote from the article that I read that says, "A star might die only once, but with Einstein's telescope, if you know where to look, you can watch it scream forever."
Whoa. Now that's a quote.
Did you like the story, Jamie?
I absolutely loved it. I'm staying.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It is. There's everything about that story is amazing, isn't it?
So people could be looking at us, Matt, 4 different time zones, 6 different time zones.
Yeah, but in fact, yeah, if there was a huge galaxy between us and somewhere like 15 billion light years away, say, then yeah, I mean theoretically you'd have to have a ridiculous telescope, but yeah, you could see you as a baby, you as a teenager, you as an adult, and you as an old man.
Oh, well, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt,
yeah,
that is amazing. Do you want to know what else is amazing?
Yeah.
Ask me what a star is.
What's a star?
Matt, a star is something that goes through the process of nuclear fusion, which means that it emits light and heat by very, very active hydrogen atoms banging into each other to create helium.
That's nuclear fusion for you.
Just thought I'd tell you that I just read up about stars.
Jamie, ask me what a star is.
Matt, what's a star?
A star is a person who goes to our Patreon page.
Oh, good. Carry on.
And decides that they're going to help us with the show.
Because do we get paid to do this from any advertising companies?
We absolutely don't. This is all
what?
done.
This is free?
This is free. I know I've been saying I was going to pay you, but
oh,
for the last 3 years, it's all been a lie.
Stick it on my tab.
Just stick it on my tab, Jamie. It's fine.
Matt, if I also want to go to iTunes and give a 5-star review of this podcast so other people can find it more easily, how do I do that?
You just go to www.interplanetary.org.uk. That's interplanetary.org.uk.
Did he say .org.uk? You better believe it.
I did.
It exists.
It does. Interplanetary.com was taken. Not we were too lazy. It was just taken. Don't go to interplanetary.com, or just literally type in the Interplanetary podcast, putting the ace back into space into Google.
And you, like us, will no longer kiss regularly.
Ah! So we've got a new catchphrase.
Yeah?
From one of our patrons, Nick Canning.
Oh, Big Nick, yeah. What's he saying?
The Big Nick. He texted me frantically to let me know that he'd come up with a catchphrase that was the Interplanetary podcast, because the sky is no longer the limit.
I really like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Cheers, Nick. That's brilliant. If you have a catchphrase, let us know.
Yeah, do it.
No profanities, please. We don't swear on this show, do we, Matt?
Jamie Franklin, putting the ass into podcast. Right, bye, Spotcat.
Bye, everyone.